Hello, Sunday School students, and welcome back to Sunday School Online. I am your teacher for this session, Deaconess Robin Miller, and I come to you by way of the Greater Bethlehem Temple Apostolic Church, located in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the community of Northside, where our pastor is Bishop James Chapman. Our First Lady, Lady Robin Chapman, and where we proudly proclaim as a church family, you've heard me say it before, there is a God in Bethlehem, and Jesus is his name. That's right. If you have not invited your family and friends, that's fine. You have a few minutes. I am going to do some announcements before we get into our lesson. So, starting with our announcements, just a reminder that we are back to in-person services. Yay! And this began the holiday weekend of July the 4th. We are following COVID practices with hand sanitization stands, wearing our masks, social distancing 6 feet, and ensuring that we are healthy when we come to service. And if we don't feel well, then we stay home. And we are a part of the live streaming worship experience that happens every Sunday by the help of the Lord, 11 a.m. live, Facebook, streaming TV church, YouTube, and also other platforms. So please go to our website to look at what we offer at gbtac.org. Also, I want to remind you that on this YouTube channel, our GBTAC YouTube channel, that we have various Sunday school classes for different ages. We have our primary class where they went on an adventure for Vacation Bible School. So if you missed that, you'll want to go back and look at that video. We have our intermediate session where Sister Teray Deloach is putting something on your mind. We also have our teenage classes where Sister Sonia Wilson is challenging us to look into our word. And we have this class for our juniors. So we encourage you to look at the different platforms that we have for the different age groups, including on Sunday mornings, every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. via our telechurch platform. We have our live Sunday school or Christian education session for our adults. And wow, are these teachers crackerjack when it comes to breaking down the word so that we can understand it. And not just understand it, but incorporate it into our everyday lives as the Lord would have us to do. So, with that, we also want to remind you, please subscribe if you've been tuning into our channels, and let us know that you've been here. Leave a comment and let us know, hopefully, that you'll be able to visit us soon. So with that, we're going to go into our lesson today, and the title of our lesson is Jesus Corrects and Praises John. That's found in the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verses 1 through 15, and our golden text is going to be number 10 of that same chapter. Before we move forward into our lesson, we want to reach back and look at what we learned from last week in studying about the 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So last week we learned that it was important when taught to do the right thing that we do it even when it's hard and even when we're away from others that would normally encourage us when they saw us in that situation. We learned that these 3 men showed incredible courage in being faithful to God even when faced with death, not knowing how it was going to turn out. Now, for our lesson this week, we're starting with our theme of our studies, Courage for Jesus. And we're going to be examining life examples of people that made courageous choices for Jesus. With this, we're going to begin with the relationship of John and Jesus. So let me turn off our happy music for now and just leave on our background. So, with that, do you remember how John and Jesus were related? Okay, I'll give you some hints. I'll give you 3 choices. Were they brothers? Were they cousins? Or were they uncle and nephew? Very good! Cousins! Yes, John and Jesus were cousins. So, along with that, John was the forerunner to Jesus. Remember, we talked about that. He came before Jesus was there and he told about the good news of the Messiah that was coming. Now, John being on this scene before Jesus arrived, that was not anything new. It was in God's plan. This was discussed, it was prophesied in the Old Testament. So it was important for John to come before Jesus. It followed the plan and the will of God. Now, when John did this, he set up for some and he stoked or he rekindled for others the expectation for the coming of the Messiah, the Savior. And we know that that's who Jesus is and was. Now, while John was in prison, he sent his followers in our text today, in our lesson today. He sent his followers to ask Jesus if he was the one that they have been waiting for, or should they look for another. So why was John in prison? Oh, okay. It's a little quiet for me. So that's your homework. Read and follow up and learn, why was John put into prison? Now, he was in prison facing a death sentence, and he was in a very hard situation, examining his life, looking over his life. For years, he had been preaching and teaching about the Messiah. And now he's in the midst of the greatest conflict. And he was reaching out to God, to the one whom he had preached. He was asking, are you the one, or should we look for another? And you know what? John isn't alone. Even though that happened about 2,000 years ago, we do the same things today. Lord, I've been serving you, and I'm the one that's suffering. Lord, I'm the one that's doing the right thing, and I'm being picked on. I'm losing my house. I'm not being chosen to be the helper in school, in class. I'm being passed over for the promotion or to be the leader in my classroom, in my school. So we do the same things that John did when he was in a hard situation. We examine ourselves in our hard situation and we turn those questions to God, asking, Lord, why is this happening? Or, Lord, this is happening to me while I'm serving you. So John was in jail because, I almost told you the answer. You have to look that up for homework. So let me skip over that part in my notes. So John was in jail, and there's a Psalm chapter 27, verses 13 through 14, that explains part of his experience in jail. And this is in the New King James Version that I'm going to read to you. I would have lost heart. The King James Version actually starts that scripture text off as I would have fainted, but New King James, I would have lost heart unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Verse 14, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Now, in the Message version, that same text reads, I'm sure now I'll see God's goodness in the exuberant earth. Stay with God. Take heart. Don't quit. I'll say it again. Stay with God. And that's what John had to do in the midst of his very hard and difficult situation. He had to continue believing. Now, Jesus, when faced with that question from John's followers of, are you the one, or should we look for another? In our lesson text, Jesus didn't answer yes or no. He reminded John of what he was doing for his people. And that's found in verse 4. And I'll read that for you in the King James Version. Jesus answered and said unto them, go and show John again those things which ye do hear and see. Verse 5. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. Those were things that they hadn't seen before on that magnitude. And again, the same way those things happened 2,000 years ago, they happen for us now. That the Lord blesses us, and we look to our experiences to continue to believe that He is going to deliver us. Okay, so back to our lesson. That was a little side note. John's presence was necessary because he prepared the hearts and minds of the people to look forward to and receive the Messiah. Romans chapter 10, verse 14 in the International Children's Bible Version states, "But before people can trust in the Lord for help, they must believe in Him. And before they can believe in the Lord, they must hear about Him. And for them to hear about the Lord, someone must tell them." So our golden text states that it was written previously that John would be God's messenger. He would be one of those folks that told them about the coming Messiah. It is important for people to hear about Jesus from you and I. Yes, they will hear about Jesus from the preacher. Yes, they'll hear about Jesus from the Sunday school teacher and from other folks that we believe should tell people about Jesus. But you know what? Some people will respect those that they know and see in person and observe more so than a stranger. Sometimes when we look at people on TV, that's all of that we see of them. But when people see you, they see how you interact with your parents. They see what you do when you think no one is looking. They see what you do when you're in school, how you're diligent, and how you respect God by respecting other people around you. And they think, and that person is a Christian, you make them want to know more about Jesus because your life backs up what you are telling them about God. So we all have a responsibility to tell people about Jesus. We are God's witnesses. So in our lesson today, we learned about John's responsibility to Jesus to tell people about Him so they could receive Him. We also learned about our role in sharing Christ with others. And we learned to hold on to our belief in Jesus even in hard times. Now, next week, we're going to be talking about Peter and John preach with boldness, and that's going to be in the book of Acts, chapter 4, verses 6 through 21. And the golden text is going to be Acts chapter 4, verse 12. So that's just a little bit of what we learned in Sunday school today and what we're going to be learning in Sunday school next time online. I invite you to share what you learned today with your family and friends, and better yet, invite them for the next time that we're going to be discussing that lesson. I leave you with my borrowed saying from Veggie Tales. God made you special, and He loved you very much. I'll see you on the next time. Bye.